till 9 a.m. when we wrap up and we go and do other things, other productive things for our country, Ghana, to make it a better place. I'm happy to be back. Good morning, guys.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
How's the trip?
How's the trip?
It was good.
Saving lives?
Yep.
Yes. So it's the last day of the month of July.
It is.
Today.
Yep.
Yeah, 31st July.
Oh, we're young. We used to play again. Pinch and punch on the first day of the month, no return.
Yeah,
so you're not allowed to hit me back, and then that's
tomorrow.
it. Tomorrow you do as well.
I'll do mine.
Okay, so please, today's the last day of the month of July. Please, all those that I promised checks, pick them before midday, else they become dark checks. That's it.
But if you issue a check,
they know where to pick them.
In your
if you
drink.
issue a check, it's
And all these.
Oh, no, but they have to pick it because, I mean, it's a contract. Pick it before midday or else.
Why does Bright always put these, conditions to
see,
the goodness he wants to do? And he knows no one will satisfy it, and then he can take his check and be happy. Exactly.
No, find me. Just find me. You have to. You see, the key thing is that find me before midday, pick your check, or forget it. It's as simple as that.
Anyway.
God bless you.
But yesterday, I understand the Guta Homes met the Minister for Trade and Industry.
Right.
I have not heard anything yet from him, but I hope that it was fruitful. Because as I said earlier, any nation that loses its retail market loses it. Because your retail are supposed grassroots, the people who can do white-collar jobs, the people who are selling small things to fend for themselves. If you allow that to be to get into foreign hands, you have lost it completely, because the ice water, the ice kinky, everything else that the people sell, mosquito coils and everything that they sell to,
they get taken over.
Some 2 cedis, some 1 cedi, some 50 pesos.
If
you allow it to go into,
I think the confusion is whether we understand what the act says. Because on one side they're saying, that it's just retail. Another side they're saying because we signed the ECOWAS trade, it allows them to do any kind of business, and that's why I think the confusion is coming from. We need to be clear on what the act really says.
So the ECOWAS protocols doesn't respect the laws of the local country. It doesn't. I think that when they met at the ECOWAS General Assembly in considering these things, which is why we have our Minister for regional integration or Foreign Affairs Minister, we have our Attorney General also attending, because there are legal ramifications to some of these things. So
Johnny,
you can't say that because you are part of ECOWAS and so you just break it. Because I became friends with you, when I come to your house and you are not there, I go and knock your door and I can't go and lie on your bed. Your father says, get up. I say, oh, Bahama is my friend. We are ECOWAS people. Is that what it is?
Anyway, Anthony is your friend.
Bahama is my friend, so I can lie on his
so
bed.
Anthony comes, my wife is not there. Anthony comes, lies in my bed and said, oh,
no, you're not around and your wife is there. Then I lie on your bed.
Yes, it's allowed. And then my wife says, get up, says, oh, but we are ECOWAS.
Yeah. It's a green land, or it's a place where if you get a visitor, you have to let go of your wife or your visitor. I've forgotten the
no, but it's not just there. I think in some African countries, where the men will put their staff in front of your house, and that means that you don't come here. Your wives are his for as long as you live.
Anyway, what's on the news this morning? Of course.
ECOWAS Street.
Well, let's take a look at the headlines, just coming up shortly after this. Good morning once again. Now, Ghana is to face dire social and environmental consequences should government go ahead to mine bauxite in the Tiwa Forest Reserve, environmental NGO Arocha warns. Traders at Ashaman defy the Municipal Assembly's directive not to sell on the streets. Farmers urged to adopt agro-ecological farming to promote sustainable production and food security. And on the foreign front, U.S. detects foreign missiles in North Korea. Let's start off from the presidency, where President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has, by executive order, approved the renegotiated Ameri deal, which is currently awaiting parliamentary approval. A statement by the President's Secretary, Nana Asante-Bidietu, stated that the President of the Republic of Ghana has granted executive approval for the novation and amendment agreement dated July 20, 2018 between the government of the Republic of Ghana, presented by the Minister for Energy or his authorized representative, and the Volta River Authority, Africa and Middle East Resource Investments Group, Ameri Energy Power Equipment Trading LLC, Power Projects, and Mitilos. President Akufo-Addo has joined the heads of Economic Committee of West African and Economic Committee of the Central African State Summit in Lomé, Togo. The joint summit is to adapt a report on peace, security, stability, and fight against terrorism on the borders of the two regions as part of the 53 ECOWAS states. High on the agenda is a strategy to combat Boko Haram and other terrorist groups. The Ghanaian delegation comprises of the Foreign Minister Ayoko Bochwe and the Minister in charge of National Security Ken Dapa. The chairman of ECOWAS, Fore Nyasingbe, said at the opening ceremony called for a coordinated effort against terrorism to bring peace on the African continent. The ECOWAS chairman and president of Gabon, Ali Bongo Odimba, said the joint summit serves as an opportunity for the two regions to cooperate in the fight against terrorism. The special representative of the United Nations, Dr. Ibn Chambers, also expressed the support of the United Nations to fight against terrorism on the African continent. Now, medical officers in government health facilities have expressed grave concern over the disparity in conditions of service. Top on their grievance list are reduced pension benefits following their migration onto the single spine pay policy and unpaid conversion difference since December 2011. Another contentious issue is their uncovered medical expenses, although they are part of the essential service providers. Here's a report by Eva Atiboka.
Doctors in government and quasi facilities render essential services.
Being a doctor is the most noble profession in the world, and it's the most difficult. At certain points, you will have to take very difficult decisions just to make sure that the person gains some amount of rehabilitative access to society, so that he doesn't become dependent on family members, on friends, on, other people in society.
However, the differences in salary structure and service benefits have long generated controversy, resulting in government doctors sending a stern warning to withdraw their services. The country's doctors have been craving for the implementation of better conditions of service, following a document signed in October 2015. Top on the grievance list, they say, is the reduced pension benefits following their migration onto the single spine pay policy, with a conversion difference unpaid since December 2011. Per TV3's investigations, a medical officer in a government facility takes home a little over 4,000 Ghana cedis, while their counterparts in state institutions take home close to 8,000 cedis, a salary equivalent to that of a director. Again, a specialist at a government hospital takes home below 8,000 cedis, while their counterparts in the state-owned institutions take over 10,000 cedis. Dr. Thomas Anaba is former medical director for the Greater Accra Regional Hospital.
Why should you get a different salary from another doctor working in another government institution with at the same category? Some doctors in state-owned institutions who are specialists are considered directors for those institutions. They get allowances as directors. They get car, fuel free of charge because they are directors. Meanwhile, a doctor in government hospital with the same qualification at the same level does not get all those conditions.
Dr. Emmanuel Adepa Adapo is a medical doctor and biomedical scientist and works at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital.
It's either a 12-hour or a 24-hour duty all the time. So from Monday to Sunday, a doctor has to be on duty to be able to save lives. So those who dedicate themselves to work faithfully in the government sector, I'm sure there's need for them to be, their conditions of service to be re-looked at.
Medical expenses of government hospital doctors are not paid for.
We pay for our own medical expenses, every bit of it. Labs, we have to pay for it. Consultation, then maybe a friend doctor would look at you and then waiver the consultation. But basically, every other test from X-ray labs, we pay for them.
Unlike state institution doctors, accommodation for government doctors comes with outstanding 10% monthly deductions.
Now, traders along the Ashaman traffic light stretch continue to sell on the street despite a directive by the Municipal Assembly to stop them following an accident which claimed 1 life and injuries to 6 others. The news team visited the area and filed the following report.
The task force has been constituted to ensure traders do not sell on the pavements and streets and, in turn, put their lives in danger. The 30-member task force is to conduct all-day patrols. However, some traders have defied the directive.
Yes, the traders, they are still working. Some of them, they said if they are selling the market, they don't buy for them. Or in case they want to stand in front of someone, then they will sack them. So this is the place that they can sell something.
This trader complains there is no alternative location for her to sell her food items. I fried the donuts from home and brought them. When I am walking on the street and a customer approaches me, I cannot tell them to follow me into the market or say because we are on the road they cannot buy. I would have to sell to them and make my daily bread. Public Relations Officer of the Ashaman Municipal Assembly, Kwesi Edujemfi, noted the task force will operate from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. He warned traders who are not from Ashaman to adhere to the directive or leave the municipality.
All those people who are they are not from Ashaman. About 80% from Accra and other areas to come and sell here and create nuisance for us. So we are to them that if they can't comply to assembly laws, they should go back to where they come from, because they also have a market in other places. From tomorrow, anybody who will be arrested will also be prosecuted.
Environmental NGO Arocha Ghana has warned of dire social and environmental consequences should government go ahead to mine bauxite in the Tiwa Forest Reserve. Deputy Director Darrell Bosu says it does not make economic sense for government to mine the low-grade bauxite in the Tiwa Forest compared to deposits in other parts of the country.
The 17,400 hectares of a Tiwa Forest Reserve in the eastern region has at least 960 million metric tons of bauxite deposits and water resource for some 5 million Ghanaians. The new financing model for Ghana in undertaking future projects, with which Sino Hydro Group Limited of China is to provide $2 billion of infrastructure in exchange for Ghana's refined bauxite in the Tiwa Forest Reserve. Deputy Director of Environmental NGO Arocha Ghana, Darrell Bosu, explained the Tiwa Forest has the potential of raking in funds for government without having to mine its bauxite.
The major bauxite deposit in this country you find in Yinehini, roughly about 1 billion tons, and that's a significant amount of bauxite if you want to process it. The thing with the bauxite in Tiwa is that the bauxite is of low grade. So if you take the high-grade bauxite, which now I'm sure you can get for a market value of about $2,000 per ton, with a low grade, you are not looking at the same value. You might get a lower price for it. 5 million people who depend on 3 major streams from this forest, who are not able to have that access to water because the bauxite activity by itself is sending out pollutants, which contaminates the water.
The CEO of the Institute of Chartered Economists, Ghana, Gideon Amisa, urged government to make a full disclosure of the details of the $2 billion debt to natural resource loan facility from China, including its environmental impact assessment.
Why they want to embark on this particular structure of finance, and what is the, the cost-benefit analysis for us as a people? What is going to be the effect on the environment after this whole particular negotiation has been done and finished? This whole thing also boils down to posterity. What would the future say about this particular transaction?
Darrell Bosso insisted its negative environmental impact will be worse than the economic benefits.
The market value of also the water services that Atiwa provides, are we going to get equal commensurate value for that particular water service? Yes, we need bauxite for development. The economics of it looks good, but do we have to sacrifice everything we have to get that? We can have our 1 billion bauxite, trade that, get all the money we have, and sustainably manage this particular forest so we can ensure water sustainability. Considering the market value of also the water services that Atiwa provides, are we going to get equal commensurate value for that particular water service?
Parliament has passed the Master Project Support Agreement for the $2 billion facility for the construction of priority projects by Chinese firm Sino Hydro Group Limited. The facility would be in exchange for alumina processed from bauxite deposits in the country.
Government intends to roll out the first post-duty rule at the country's ports to check smuggling. Under this rule, custom officers from neighboring countries will be allowed to inspect and monitor goods meant for their respective countries. The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, made this known at a forum organized by the Ports Management Association of West and Central Africa in Accra.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, recounted innovations rolled out by government to promote efficiency and reduce corruption. Available figures indicate that 43% of goods are now cleared within 24 hours, while 70% of the containers are cleared in 3 days. So far, some $450 million has been earmarked for projects and other infrastructure to enhance port operations. The Vice President expressed concern on the spate of smuggling across the ports and directed the Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority to within 5 months create a seamless platform to enhance revenue mobilization.
We must have a seamless interoperable integration between the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and Customs. Importers are very smart. Once they know that the two systems are not speaking to each other, they find a way to circumvent. Burkina, Mali, Niger customs authorities will have a presence in our ports. And so if you claim that you are shipping this container to Mali, you just go to the Mali desk and pay your duty. They'll be in your system and you move on.
On improving the business environment, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia urged ECOWAS to implement laws on axle loading.
It has been reported that not all other ECOWAS member countries are complying with this policy. It undermines regional cooperation and creates an atmosphere of unfairness in transit trade on the various corridors in the sub-region.
Minister of Transport Kwekwe Foresiama spoke about plans to engage the private sector for a new port to be constructed.
As part of the government policy to encourage the private sector in the development of infrastructure, as stated earlier, the government is engaging the private sector to develop new ports in the country to support the existing port of Tema and Takoradi to meet the growing demand in the shipping and port industry.
The theme for the event was best practices in the management of ports lands.
The Nigerian High Commissioner to Ghana, Olufemi Abikoye, has asked government to tread cautiously in dealing with foreigners engaged in local retail trade. He was reacting to an earlier directive by the Trade and Industry Ministry requiring foreign traders to desist from engaging in domestic retail trade, which has since been suspended.
Earlier this month, the Ministry of Trade and Industry issued a ban on all foreign traders illegally engaged in domestic retail trade. The directive was to enforce Section 27(1) of GIPC Law 2013 Act 865, which states that a person who is not a citizen or an enterprise which is not wholly owned by a citizen shall not invest or participate in the sale of goods or provision of services in a market, petty trading or hawking, or selling of goods in a stall at any place. The ban resulted in hostility between local and some foreign traders, but has since been suspended by the sector ministry pending detailed consultation with stakeholders. The Nigerian High Commissioner to Ghana, Olufemi Abikoye, is not enthused about the directive.
The Minister of Trade needs to be very careful with that issue. We shouldn't push it, because if you push it too much, it's not going to help the two economies. But if somebody sit down and thought the only solution to move an economy is to send the so-called foreigners, I don't know whom they are referring to as foreigners, we should talk in terms of collaborations and make sure that people live within the laws and regulations. So nobody should talk in terms of saying foreigners or maybe Nigerian traders should leave the market. Leave the market to where?
Local traders have accused foreign retailers of crowding them out of market share by selling fake and substandard goods at lower prices to consumers.
Now, there'll be an extended version of that interview with the High Commissioner after newspaper review today. Now, look to some international stories. U.S. spy satellites have detected renewed activity at the North Korean factory that produced the country's first intercontinental ballistic missile capable of reaching the United States, a senior U.S. official said on Monday in midst of talks to compel Pyongyang to give up its nuclear arms. Photos and infrared imaging indicate vehicles moving in and out of the facility, but do not show how advanced any missile construction might be, the official told Reuters, on condition of anonymity because of the intelligence is classified. The Washington Post reported on Monday that North Korea appeared to be building 1 or 2 new liquefied fuel intercontinental ballistic missiles at a large research facility on the outskirts of Pyongyang, citing unidentified officials familiar with intelligence reporting. Well, that's it for news for this morning. New Day returns shortly after the break.
Good morning one more time, and front pages daily guide, that's where we start off from. Mahama's 56 million Ghana cedis is ex-gratia aid, and Ms. Arthur's wife anger. The inside story, how did the daily guide know? Find out, read about it. Let's back Amidu against corruption, says President Rawlings. Our next newspaper is the Daily Statement. It says, poor image caused NDC's defeat, according to Dr. Kwesi Botwe. I guess he was speaking at the memorial lecture for Professor Mills. And robust plan to check port smuggling. That's the Vice President, Mr. Arthur there, says we'll have other ECOWAS countries have their presence at our ports. And government retrieves 1.2 million Ghana cedis idle funds from school authorities. Okay, so there's idle funds and people are crying from Kuwait and Cuba and everywhere else. Give them the money. Today newspaper says government projects in danger. Reptiles, weed smokers take over facilities. It comes with a photo of the Minister for Works and Housing, lawyer Atachia, and NutriPulse gains international recognition. Nana Oke's Ameri deal. I saw that agreement, innovation, and all the issues in between. We'll tell you more about that. On to our next paper for today. The Finder newspaper says transit fraud to be blocked. Customs officers from destination countries to operate at Ghana ports. And 87% of Ghanaians against public meetings of lesbians and gays. Of course, I am against it too. Absence of honesty, integrity led to NDC's defeat in 2016. Professor Botwe and adolescent healthcare in dire need of investment. Dr. Appiah and presidency pledges to act on CTFM, Occupy Ghana petition. Okay, on to our next one, please. The Ghanaian Times says new Ameri deal good for Ghana, according to Energy Minister, who's assuring the Ghanaian public, Boache Jacko, and indeed, he says that is so. He said that in Parliament. NCA case, accused granted permission to seek medical care abroad. Okay, our hospitals are not fit. I'm just curious. Big boost. The Daily Graphic says 2 varsity students sentenced to death by hanging. And SIC wins overall insurance award. Working but starving informal jobs pay 150 Ghana cedis monthly. How? When the minimum wage is 10 cedis per day or a little over 10 cedis per day, how come some people are paying 150?
But that 10 cedis per day, is it taking effect now or is going to happen next year?
Well, I mean, the 10 cedis is there.
Right,
is
so
what
there's been a 10%
there's been a 10% addition to it, which is what will take effect next year. So if anybody is paying somebody less than 300 cedis, then that's criminal.
Yeah,
that's
the
not proper.
calculation has certainly gone
it's
wrong.
not. But then I'm wondering, okay, so if the law says every single worker has to pay SNIT contributions or contribute to SNIT, and the employers are supposed to be doing that on behalf of the worker, how come people are earning 150? Is SNIT aware? Does it monitor? Or are we still in the regime where if somebody comes from a factory to tell SNIT that, oh, our boss doesn't pay SNIT for us, then the SNIT, some SNIT officials will tell on them, and then those people lose their jobs. Right. Are we still in that regime? I don't think SNIT will come and deny this, because there have been so many instances where we have done the story ourselves from here. So if anybody is working and is earning less than what the minimum wage says, what then is the essence of the minimum wage? Is the Minister for Employment aware? Is the Minister for Social Protection aware? Are they aware that people are breaking the law, stealing from people who are sweating it out? Are they aware that you go to work and you're earning less than what you're supposed to earn?
I'm sure they are aware, but really, they'll tell you that these people haven't themselves come to lodge these complaints, and so they can't follow up on it. And certainly, these people will be those who are not being paid through banks or, you know,
over-the-counter payments.
Exactly.
Right.
These are obviously over-the-counter. And so it's difficult to get statistics necessarily to back and also to follow through with the processes to make sure that due diligence is being done. But I think that will be quite a minority. There are still people who would be tracked, and it will be known that they're being paid less than the minimum wage. But as usual, look, Johnny, it's how Ghana goes. We rant, we talk about it, and we let it go.
If we say that, for example, because they have not come to lodge a complaint, so we expect them to come and lodge a complaint, I think it's a no-no.
It is.
Because the people, look,
that's your job.
If you struggle to get a job, sometimes your conditions of service are not good, but you would want to stay in there. What is the state authority? How do they compel these employers to do the needful? Okay. The law says every worker must pay SNIT. No matter how meager your salary is, you must pay SNIT. If you're a casual worker, whatever, that's been explained over and over again by SNIT. Question, how does SNIT and the Employment Ministry, for example, come together to ensure that everybody is protected under this particular one? In terms of social protection, how is the Social Protection Ministry getting into it? Or perhaps the Social Protection Ministry lost on that and is just doing gender issues?
Everyone is just doing their own thing. There's never that intercollaboration.
Because it's so, look,
the collaboration we're looking for.
It is so unfair. Look, people go to work, they spend all their money on transport and medication, and they come back home having saved nothing. Nothing.
So this is the informal sector. So these are people whose jobs are not, should I put it, documented. Right. So you have those who serve at chop bars, shop attendants, people who are drivers in private homes. Right. So if you read a story, what is, for me, the biggest problem is that, you see, I've always said that I am not too excited when all public officials do is to come tell us the very problem why we pay them, to go and fix it. Now, if you read the story, I think paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the ministry is reacting to the story. Now, Deputy Minister, Mr. Bright Uwekubrobe, agrees that pay at the informal sector is low. Again, he agrees that employees do not adhere to lay down rules as far as the minimum wage is concerned. Now, he's also conceded that the Labour Department lacked adequate personnel to go around and enforce the law.
Can you imagine?
You see, this is where I have an issue. Now, okay, so should we, if there's any department that deals with this, should we scrap it because there are no personnel to go and tackle this issue? Is that what he's saying?
But that's not supposed to be so.
Exactly, that's my point. So when public officials come and tell us the problems instead of resolving the problem, if you continue reading, he goes ahead to say that the ministry was working on getting more inspectors to the field to do the work.
So how long has he, at least he's been in power for close to 2 years. His predecessors were there. I'm not picking on any individual. I'm picking on the plan. I'm picking on the office.
Yes.
The office of
exactly
Ministry of Employment. We put ministers there. We give them deputies. We give them cars. We give them
chief
houses.
directors.
We give them chief directors. We give them what monitoring, evaluation, whatever.
And this is not
big positions.
This is not new.
This is not new.
Informal jobs paying less.
So they know that what the problem
is.
So
is there no plan that this is how we intend to deal with those who pay below the minimum wage at the office,
it doesn't look like
so that he can point to it. Now, if he comes in the story to just say that all we're doing is working on getting more inspectors, it's vague, and for me, it doesn't resolve anything.
Right, like you said, he's only telling us what the problem is. He knows that for a long time, the informal sector has not been fair to some of the workers.
Everyone knows that.
Now, they also know that they don't have the requisite capacity to perform. So all this while, what have they been doing? Is there a blueprint?
Well, the ministry is working. That's the story.
When government, I mean, this is government working, every sector. So when you put something like NAPCO together, I expect you to be able to tell the president that you need people to be employed in your department to be able to help with this informal jobs being paid less. And when I don't hear that in the NAPCO program, then obviously you haven't been working.
The ministry
because if you were concerned enough in trying to look for these people
on
to
getting
get
more
them.
inspectors. From where?
You see,
right,
it's a very funny situation where there's no blueprint. He has not told you what the plan is. He said we are working at it.
Well,
so for 20 years, they have not gotten it. The people down the ladder will still suffer. Okay, somebody's father will go and pound fufu for how many hours a day and sweat it out, whatever it is, and it doesn't earn 10 cents a day.
And Johnny, this is a huge issue because see, we're grappling with getting taxes from the informal sector. Now, if the minister is conceding that we are unable to know these persons and what they do and why they are paid this, then it means that the bigger picture is there. Now, we're told that the national ID card is expected to deal with this. Everyone has an ID, so we know what you're doing. Now, if you want to broaden the conversation, can the ministry come out and say that, look, we have done A, B, C, D? To just say that we are working on getting... No, but he said we are working on...
But haven't you heard nothing?
It just captures everything so that it keeps you at bay
let me
for
tell
a while.
you something. We're looking at... The last time the National Population Council spoke, they said that we have a dependency ratio of 27 to 73, which means that 27% of us are taking care of the 73. We are hoping to broaden the tax net. It will be illegal to tax anybody when you have not ensured that the person has been paid well. So it will be illegal to even want to go and tax the people. Number two, you are hoping to tax these people, and yet you are keeping them hungry. Their provision is less. How do you hope to tax them? How do you hope to draw them into it?
Really?
Now, in addition to that, the informal sector also has these GUTA members who are raising the red flag about this retail business. And all we want to do is we want to have a conversation. We want to go and educate. Educate who?
Okay.
If I have a chop bar and I have 7 people I'm supposed to be paying, and at least 300, and I can't pay them. I'm paying them 180. And I have another person who's not supposed to be doing the retail business, who is the chop bar business, set up and is able to pay 250. You think that they will not go there and not come to me?
Quickly before we run, if you read on, some of these people who run these small businesses in the informal sector are suggesting that their water and electricity bills are so high that they cannot pay the minimum wage. Is that legitimate?
Well, I mean,
that my business is such that I don't earn enough to pay the minimum wage.
I think that when the president spoke and said that artisans were going to get a cut off, he says that they were going to, we asked the question, how are you going to identify these people who deserve it? These people may fall under that particular,
They certainly will. But it's time for us to rant, and we're talking about the GMA threatening to go on a strike if government doesn't meet them at the drawing table to at least arrange the plans to roll out the conditions of service for doctors. In current age, doctors do not even get the, government to take care of their own medical bills. They have to pay out of pocket and many other issues. And so let's rant and find out what you think about this.
Please don't go on strike.
We won't.
Please.
Will embark on a strike action. They will first withdraw OPD services, then move on to emergency services. That is, if government fails to pay their outstanding arrears dating as far back as 2011. Now, some have suggested that doctors are not the only professionals in the country, so they should stop giving government undue pressure. Others have also said that given the essential services that doctors provide to the country, government must take very good care of them.
Adia yede emre bebre aka ho asem no yentimi emfa within a day or a week in case because of adia da ya twem me na ma yenya ne puma sibire no ya kase neyi no ye strike. I think the Ghana Medical Association Omoni abiding trans more na omoni abiding because abiding also a lot of challenges I ever be facing here as a government or the AFC. And Sana Medical kind MPP Abawe a very listening government. They should call on the government, and I know the government will listen to.
Munya, I mean, if you're Hunter West, and then you may there and a human so if this government is a listening government. Say him there for what? A far from Rusu. In this Albania listening government, on take a far from Rusu. Enumuga, yet discussing a comedy. Yet discussing a comedy. May Bama, Sikabo Biaboto, may Bama, Obiana Sika, may Bama Obiana Jumaye. Dr. Baumia, Nanado. You said all these things. Now, you have the mandate of the people. You are in power. You are ruling and governing. Adult telephone also here. One is car. Now say you discuss your comedy here. Now say aba for one scan from one. And I hear them as anything. So why is this government delaying? Yeah, a man for one life. Oh here, nobody would want these people to withdraw their services because what you are, however, into what should the government do? A listening government. I was not here. Although I don't want but enough home. And I'm a now I heard a cow bear. I didn't know what you are. Enumude. Kasadel in a damn MPP Abani. When you mean, Masa, tell the people the truth.
There is no money.
There's no money. And then if years just in a waffle, listen.
Who ready? Reasons are a man near Bedu baby. It's not about say last week here na doctors he started here say omu demand this idea. This is way back 2011. 2011 na aban ben na so and na 2018 now we ho kase and aban no pesika no farmer way over years here when you were in government for good 8 years. What did you do? Again, how we are found. And your Bass Brandon and now we are. And your Jidan and now we are. And you confirm and now we are. As I'm talking to you now, nurses are not Tiffy. Doctors are not with Tiffy. Where 2011? And now I know because I buy my clearance. Your first unnecessary. What I'm saying is, as a member parliament, Ghana for health. I'm pleading with the doctors and say, I'm only buying in transit. Adewe enye na shase. Aye from 2011. So one ka wo free aye we free abamu na anu yi a wo kwe a wentimi anye hyehyɛ papa ama sa adewe twantwa. Na ka wo so the voice a comedian wo say yenuanum adoctor ho. Yesra mo. Sesi ano ade na aba no mo ni aban ye de entrance. And I don't think so. When they are buying transit, no more some a good crack also, no beer sign. I buy it and this. Now, but you say, now the idea of propaganda say, yes, yes, cow, and yes, it's cow. Yeah, by a year free SHS. Let's get it say. And yes, I'm buying Chomo, I get you a momo. A yomo condition of service, which is almost pensions benefits. And now, almost catching up buying say, almost shall not wear the omu pajem. This is not to say, I buy no ediom bosomeka June. I can't try and tell. So let's get it.
Whether it is their pensions, whether it is their salaries, whether it is their allowances, or whatever it is money due them. It is money due the doctors.
You pay them?
Yes, we could not pay. We could not pay. But you told us. You told us that we could not manage the economy well. Waba doctors no omusu omokasa say tuomoka. Why don't you want to pay them? But bosomusua and now 110 ministers. No what tuomoka. Why omu fuel? Omu de adan mu, omu to kind first class. No omu de ko.
But this is not salaries. This is allowance.
Allowance and yesika. Allowance and yesika. Allowance and yesika. Allowance yo, your friends and a pension yo, dear yo, yesika.
Okay, so say we have 110 ministers. Out of the 110 ministers, and why no margin double salary? And why he margin double salary? Yeah, by what to say, Yakwayan confirm moment to Akobakina. Ghana, send you about 2 free NDC for. I can tell you, say, Ghana, Afan to my pie, Efra.
So why are you not paying the doctors?
What I'm saying is, we know. And yet, and yet, and Brebi, I shot to us as so many. Amona, almost call us say, as I said, I buy it and show me. Tio, when, and yes, sir, I deal with a deal, and I buy so ahead on 4 months.
Previous government, I got so much trouble, you want to me iron and entry. What did you say? What say? Omoya incompetent because they could not pay. What say? Who? You could manage the economy very, very well. And yes, this government should stop lazying around. They should make sure they pay their doctors so that they don't withdraw their services. If they should withdraw their services, you and I will not get that health care that we need. Bed, no bed syndrome. Go find in a way. President Nado saw your US. I mean, we are about Himfa. Minister of Himfa. Okay, regional minister of Himfa. MMDC is over because they can pay their health bills. Or they can have access to world-class health facilities. And you need the money to afford. So for them, they don't think about us.
I buy it to president and son who I say ministers and some who I say. Number not President Muhammad, so they do buy no holidays. Holidays are no.
So holidays on hospital. Holidays they're different from
holidays. Any hospital in Dubai no kono. What you say? Now you need both of us in here. This government being a listening government enough, no? It will listen to this the doctors and solve the problem. It won't be like the NDC 2011. How many years nobody free them?
I want to solve them.
Ask him that question.
Abasam na yereka. Doctors no they are making demand from the government there. Abandon one cow.
As if it's from this.
On America show there. In Zama pa President Mahama oye no oroko no wan fan kwani fie. Enti se aba. Enti se aba. Oh munua enti se aba. Na se oh wara be. Wara kasa wa bani obey we ties kana ama doctors na. Your government, the MPP government hasn't paid. And they are making demands. They are making demands of the government that you should pay. But you see, where will ministers, where will presidents, where will cabinet ministers, MPs, MMDCs, 11 contract. Obidiama, 1 day, 11 contract. Look at the boss matter. You understand? Obi President Katina 4.6 billion. And a website 8 billion. 150 billion for oil. You see, if they see the government doing all these things And you tell them that they should wait. They should wait. They should wait. Who will wait? But you see, the interesting thing is that why is that the way in a no? Me ni opare oti hai. Yemi anu na say yare a nyame amboan na say yare yan na ebebre. Nanado ombre minister ombre manu amdi to me no say aban tua omoka aban ni gusu anu omo yade aban tua omoka aban de atachira foka me tie me atachira cheche ni aban de atachira foka ontua aban de na sesika ontua aban de waka biara ka Ghana ha ontua so that obi e kwa adwuma our sound mind na wakwa ka ye adwuma ama productivity levels no akwasoro. You are not paying. You are
Aban at the doctor's car. Aban the doctor's car.
In the form of arrears.
See, this when I can moment as you. Almost say. Yeah, the Omako single spine. Etino automatic and I say conditional say which is pension scheme near the end ebe cost ebe improve. So it should improve. So in this case, you know, a negotiation between the doctors and the government. Say, conditions in the it is an agreement between the government and the doctor. So wait, and listen, a canon there say, Busumi wait, a canon say, Busumi wait, who tell me one Ghana city, Busumi nature. And say, when there's a forward, you're not to medium. Mammy, I crabble. Me mami owo su me mami owo bogoso me mami owo ejamo bekem only doctors in
pensions secure your future
na omo bre adwumem na okọ hospital a oye na bia here ankoto but I can assure you
I am disappointed.
I can assure you with the leadership of His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo he is going to listen to
going forward how can we address this?
Master, this government, the MPP government should be truthful. We are holding this government to task and to their own in some other kind in opposition. Here we feel the amambu or ye trotroba or the former. Emba no one how what wakasa kasa Professor do later. This aba delivery in area. What
how can we address this?
Ebe beside where's the schooler? Beside where's the hospital? Beside where's the chief's compounder? Beside where's the clinica? Beside where's the polyclinica? Nothing of the sort. But you see, you have the money to spend on yourselves, your cronies, your friends, your families. Yeah, there can in there. Other telefo we here wapowinska. Abanon hwede. Sikana os orabana wa bayen kotokum. Orabana yen adwuma ya ye no. Dem sikana oho bafu pafo no. Onhwe no fa bimfama ada telefui. Na wanya adwene pa won fa ye adwuma. Osande ame ameti hei minibi. Na me yara makade murokofo plane. Another moroko baby. Da bi me ye dem sikano.
Are you telling me, say, MPP ayaba abem ye kwan ba kokran se ye firabem. Ye si hospital ba kokran se ye firabem. Ye si school ba kokran se ye. Asam no. Ye gina ye nim say enye nde na asem we de e hyase. And ye say ukoto so obi ni obi ku e ya bisa say ada no na de na eden esi ye. And whoso a wotie wontime kan kyerem so say aban no ye krado say opese onhia doctors sanity. The government is ready to sit down with this doctor to settle every problem there.
If you say we have money,
the only assurance and I say here on say the aban we here ewa abam I know them to a listening government, so they are going to sit down with the doctors and make sure say baby assembly than the because at the end of the day me say me call hospital na say doctor ni one ebe come ebe ka won so when necessary when you on mind bapa na what catch doctors and say a doctor for yes ramo when and yes aban e de mobosu na ketuaka e conditions bi na mo ye dem pe entino yes ramo when you aban ni ko table na mo ni omon kasa na ye nyina ye call hospital na o ko table adentina 2011
well, so says the gentleman I have with me here about the intention of the doctors to go on strike if government fails to address some arrears since 2011. You can also go onto our various social media platforms and post your comments there. This has been your daily rant with me, Eric Ode from Takrady. Thank you so much for spending your time with us.
All right, and thanks so much for staying there. Now, Daily Graphic has this huge story, working but starving. That's a story. Informal jobs pay 150 cedis monthly. That's the story. Worrying the Deputy Minister of Employment and Labour Relations. Photograph there. The finder, transit fraud to be blocked. Customs officers from destination countries to operate at Ghana ports. That's the big one. The Times, a big boost for importers as paperless port system allows clearance of goods within 24 hours. The other one, new Ameri deal, good for Ghana. Energy Ministry assures, and Mahama's 56 million is ex gratia. That's according to his aid. These are some of the pages here, the stories on the pages of the newspapers I have with me. Now, I guess to do the talking this morning, a member of the NPP and Presidential Deputy Director Communications at the Presidency, Madam Fatima Tolbakra is here. Good morning. I hope you're doing great. Good morning, right. I hope you're doing terribly great. Great. And thanks for joining us. A member of the NDC, Sami Jemfi is also here. Sami, good morning too. Hope you're doing great too. All right. Let's start the conversation this way. I think that the Ameri deal is getting a lot of more ink. If you take a look at the Times, the story on page 17 from the Ghanaian Times is suggesting that the communication specialist at the Ministry of Energy, Nana Kofi Opong, has dismissed claims that the renegotiated Ameri deal was worse than the original agreement signed by the previous government in 2015. In the view of Mr. Damwa, the renegotiated deal took into account the interest of Ghana. That's what he's saying as a result of some arguments that the earlier deal is better than what we have agreed on. And the information we have is that the president has also done some work on it, okayed it. If you take a look at some other stories on other newspapers, you can get that story. But if you go to Daily Graphic, page 20, it still stays with the Ameri deal. It says that VRA workers are unhappy with Ameri amendment agreement. That's the story. VRA workers have opposed the passing of the Innovation and Ameri amendment agreement, saying that it will bring hardship to the authority. We, the staff groups of VRA, are vehemently opposed to the passing of the agreement because it will bring more hardship to the authority and the good people of our dear Ghana. That's the statement signed by the National Chairman of the Senior Staff Association, VRA, the VRA Chairman, Branch Chairman of the Public Service Workers Union, and Mr. Frank Kaba, also of the TUC. So that's the story we have. But the biggest news is that the President has approved what is called the Innovation and Amendment Agreement. Madam Fati, let me begin the conversation with you. The President approval of that deal, what does it mean to the whole Ameri renegotiated deal?
Thank you, Bright. I'll use this opportunity to say good morning to your viewers and to all Ghanaians, and also to wish to express my heartfelt condolence to the Amisayates for the passing of our former Vice President, especially to the wife and the children. I believe on this issue of renegotiated deal with the Ameri Medca, I believe it's still a developing story. As we heard, the information that is put out there is basically based on the kind of files that the MPs in Parliament received, and also some data that ASEP brought out, some information that ASEP brought out. We've not had that benefit of the Information Ministry holding a press conference or officially communicating their position on the issue. I believe it is only fair that since the conversation started over the weekend and yesterday, they will put their documents together and come out and give us their perspective and their side to the story. However, I can say that when you look at Parliament, Parliament is part of the governance system, it's part of government. And if you go to Parliament, it is our party, the New Patriotic Party, that is majority in Parliament. They are definitely not a rubber stamp majority. We trust that if there are any issues with the deal, that will not be in the benefit of, that will not inure to the benefit of the country. Why not? They will not approve it. And if otherwise, they will give approval. It's still in the process of discussions and getting perspectives of civil society and all stakeholders on board. But as it stands now, it is not something that we have committed to. It still stands as a proposal from the ministry to Parliament. And maybe by today or within the coming days, in course of the week, we are hopeful that we will get the full story. We'll be able to put flesh on the skeleton and be able to know the direction that we are going with this issue.
Right. So it's not what we're getting. The conversation from ASEP, the MPs, is just something of their own from the proposal put forward by the Energy Ministry.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And so for you, the early days yet, we'll just hold on and wait for what the presidency will come up with.
Because you know what, right? When we talk about the proposal, generally, what goes to Parliament may not necessarily be approved, or what comes out of the House. So and that's why we have checks and balances. If we have a document go to Parliament, there's been so many instances that they've been approved or not approved. So until that happens, government of Ghana has not committed any funds to it. It still stands as a proposal. And at that stage, you will be able to vary, not at Parliament per se, but I mean when it is not approved, there can be variations. We have the benefit of getting public opinion. We have the benefit of getting the media to engage and listen to the general feeling from the public. And I believe in that direction. It's a good thing to get the opinions of others and civil society and almost everybody on board. And as the days go by, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get communication from the ministry. They would also listen to what's happening and put all that into consideration.
I'm grateful. Sami, so this is where we are. What was discussed in Parliament, what ASEP is saying, what other people are suggesting, could be changed, and that what we're getting as far as the deal is concerned, it's not, like she said, not cast in stone. Government can take a look at it and make variations to it.
Thank you for the opportunity, Brighton. Let me say a very good morning to our cherished viewers. A very good morning to yourself and my sister Fatima. I disagree with that position because I've taken time to study documentation relative to the so-called renegotiated Ameri deal. I have taken the time to study the novation and amendment agreement to the Ameri deal. And I should state that that is the deal which has been presented to the August House of Parliament for approval and which is currently before the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Finance and Mines and Energy for their consideration. And after going through the documents, I was totally befuddled and scandalized. I couldn't fathom why anybody could come out with such a needless, reckless, and worthless agreement, which is not in the interest of this country, and which is going to overburden the already impoverished Ghanaian. It is important for me to reiterate the fact that this agreement was put together by the Ministry of Energy and by officials of this government. And this agreement has received the blessing of no less a person than the President of the Republic of Ghana. And that is the executive approval.
Signed that
yes,
approval.
the executive approval you alluded to. And so I'm surprised that my sister, who is one of the spokespersons at the presidency, who say that, oh, we still need details. We should wait for the Ministry of Communication to put their documents together.
So for you, it doesn't remain a proposal?
It has been presented to Parliament, but that is the position of government. You understand? The position of government is that it accepts the novation and amendment agreement in its current state, and that is what we are discussing. And so that is what we are scrutinizing.
Okay, so she concedes that indeed that is there, but she says that it is now up to Parliament and, like you said, civil society and all others to make input.
And that is why we are making inputs. And that is why we're having this discussion. We are saying that the agreement which has been put before Parliament by this government is not in the interest of this country. It is needless, it is reckless, it is a dubious contract which must not be entertained by our members of Parliament in the first place. That is our position on this. And it's been corroborated by ASEP, like you said, by the Institute of Energy Security, by the Senior Staff Association of VRA, and all other stakeholders in the energy sector in particular. You see, Bright, what is this whole issue about? Somewhere in 2015, the Ministry of Power, on behalf of the Republic of Ghana, entered into this agreement with Ameri to supply us with some power plants for our energy generation sector. And under that agreement, we were going to pay an amount of 14.5 US cents per kilowatt hour. And so if you do the calculations, that was going to lead to a total contract sum of $510 million over a period of 5 years. That agreement was a BOOT agreement, which meant that Ameri was going to build, own, operate, and transfer the plants to Ghana after a period of 5 years, and after we have paid the contract sum of $510 million. Okay, and I have explained to you that the reason why it was $510 million over a period of 5 years was that for the first 5 years, the Ghanaian consumer was going to pay an amount of 14.5 US cents per every kilowatt hour. You understand? Now, the agreement was done in such a way that after the plant is handed over to Ghana, after the plant becomes our property, the tariff of 14.5 US cents per kilowatt hour was going to be reduced to 10.4 US cents per kilowatt hour. After 5 years. After ownership of the plant reverts to the states, we were going to pay 10.4 US cents per every kilowatt hour. Now, what our brothers in the MPP have done with the tacit approval, brothers and sisters in the MPP, with the tacit approval of the president, have done in this case is that they have introduced a needless third party called Miscellaneous in this whole innovation agreement. And they are saying that we should be paying an amount of 11.7 US cents per every kilowatt hour for the next 15 years. It will interest you to note that as we speak now, we have paid about $171 million out of the $510 million. And just about $339 million is currently outstanding, and which is the amount that we need to pay for the remaining 2.5 years, you understand, of the agreement. And so it is unfathomable that 2.5 years before this agreement lapses and before we actually become the owners of this, this plant, and before we could even benefit from the 10.4 cents per kilowatt hour, this government will introduce this amendment and innovation agreement to change that arrangement and to impose a higher tariff of 11.7. What it therefore means is that from now to 2020, if this deal is accepted, we are going to benefit marginally, because instead of paying the current 14.5 cents, we'll be paying 11.7. You understand? But after 2020, we will be losing the benefit of paying the 10.4 cents per kilowatt hour, which Ghanaians are supposed to pay as far as the Ameri deal is concerned for the next 15 years. And if you do the calculations, the government of Ghana will be paying in excess of $1 billion to this new company, Miscellaneous. and the Ghanaian consumer will be paying more, because instead of paying 10.4 cents per kilowatt hour, the Ghanaian consumer will be paying 11.7 cents. And that is what we are saying, Bright, even before you come in. That is what we are saying, that
I want us
this agreement is not in the interest of the Ghanaian consumer. This agreement is not in the interest of the state, because the state is going to pay more and the Ghanaian consumer will be called upon to pay more.
Okay.
That is the point.
Right. So her issue is that, well, this is only the beginning. And your insistence that what the president has signed it. Now, is that not to let out certain vital documents which MPs requested for? The president signing that agreement is to allow those vital documents to be put before members of parliament.
No. The documents have already been tabled before Parliament.
If you remember, Parliament couldn't get the document before they rose. The committee was
but the
asking
matter has been referred to the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Finance and Mines and Energy. And the Minister for Energy, who tabled that agreement before Parliament, is all over the media airwaves defending the agreement. We are also speaking about an executive approval for the deal. So, as we speak
but
now,
she says it doesn't end it. She's told us.
Yes, we know. And that is why it is before the August House of Parliament, our representatives. And that is why we are also stating our opinions on that. That agreement should be rejected. Right?
Okay.
Doesn't it surprise you? You know, we were all in this country when the Ameri deal was signed somewhere in 2015. And we were witnesses to the lies and deceit that our colleagues in the MPP told the people of this country. They said that the Ameri deal was a fraudulent deal because its cost had been padded by Ameri by an amount of $150 million. And so what we were all anticipating was that coming into power, they were going to adduce evidence to show the fraud, because it is trite legal knowledge that fraud vitiates all. And so if they were able to prove that the agreement was tainted by fraud, what it therefore meant was that they could abrogate the agreement and give us a better agreement.
Okay.
Now,
let me
go
to Madam Fati. I'll come back. No, I'll come back.
Okay.
I'll come back to you. Okay. Madam Fati, so how ready is government to take on board, opinions on this?
I'm surprised that Sami is speaking as if the parliament is just it's only NDC members of parliament that constitute parliament. If not for anything, it is the New Patriotic Party that forms majority in parliament, and therefore whatever decision that they will take in the whole house would be a reflection of a vote that has, if it has to be a reflection of the vote of the majority, then we cannot discount the fact that the outcome of that decision would generally reflect the perspective of the New Patriotic Party as well. And as a matter of fact, since they submitted the document to Parliament, Parliament has requested that the Ministry of Energy should bring some additional information before they can proceed with an action. And I think that I insist that it is early days yet. If you want to talk about government, fine. They have brought a proposal, hoping to spread the cost over a period of 15 years. If that is the situation, it means someone has a separate opinion with regards to this Ameri-Metka deal as against what you had previously. But I'm saying it's not cast in stone. Why don't we wait for them to send such additional information to Parliament? Let Parliament scrutinize the documents that are in front of them. If it is in the interest of the country, I trust the New Patriotic Party to do the right thing and vote in favor of the documents presented. If it is not in favor of the country, why not? There is every reason for them to reject it. And I believe we should hold on. It's early days yet. It's been yesterday, today, and maybe over the weekend. So we shouldn't rush to arrive at conclusions to suggest that, someone wants to do something untoward in this direction. So I totally disagree with Sami.
Sami, is there anything wrong with government taking a position on an issue?
No, there is nothing wrong with that. But when
so the president,
but the position of government is subject to constructive critique. And we
exactly, and that's what she's asking for.
Yes, and that is what we are doing here. That is the exercise we are engaging. Two issues.
Quickly.
Let's not play the ostrich and let's not dance around this issue. The position of the minority caucus in Parliament on this proposed renegotiated Ameri deal is already clear. We are against it because we think that the Mary deal in its original state is what is in the interest of this country. And that is why throughout this process we have objected to this attempt to introduce a new agreement to substitute the original one. That is a point that we need to make. On the other hand, our brothers in the MPP have already made known their desire to see the Ameri deal change because of the claims they made while they were in opposition that the Ameri deal was actually overpriced. And that is why I am raising a fundamental issue which has to do with the hypocrisy and the inconsistencies of this government relative to this matter. You labeled the original Ameri deal as fraudulent and overpriced. We've voted for you into power. You have failed to adduce a scintilla of evidence to show that indeed the deal was overpriced. Rather, we have cited a legal opinion authored by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice under your government, giving the original Ameri deal a clean bill of health and indicating that nothing untoward was done in the execution of the original deal. Now, in spite of this, you are still bent on amending the original deal, which has already received the blessing of your own Attorney General. But we would have expected, if I can just land on this point, we would have expected that this so-called renegotiated deal would have offered some relief and improved the terms of the original, agreement. Rather, like I explained to you, it is imposing more hardship on the already burdened Ghanaian, because instead of paying 10.4 US cents per kilowatt hour after 2020, we will be paying 11.7 cents per kilowatt hour to a needless third party who you are introducing. Why? Is it because a few of you want to line your pockets?
Should we
Is it because of the chop?
Those are allegations. Please.
No, that is
withdraw that.
It's a question. It was a question.
Yes, but
I should withdraw the question.
You're not allowed to ask questions, so please withdraw.
No problem. It's a rhetorical question because
it's not healthy for nothing. Discourse.
Yes.
It is very healthy when the taxpayers' money is at stake.
Yes, but
it is very healthy when the meager resources of state are at stake.
Sammy, listen. To allege that someone is lining the packet isn't right. Please withdraw that.
You see, let me tell you.
No, Sammy, listen. You're not allowed to ask questions.
It's withdrawn.
Okay, so that we have a very civil conversation.
But this is the point I want to make.
Right.
You see, Bright, you are a journalist. I want you to carry out these investigations for the benefit of our viewers. Find out those who are behind the miscellaneous company which is being introduced, those who are fronting that deal, and those who are leading the negotiations. And you will know that this deal has all the trappings of cronyism, nepotism, and corruption, which characterize everything which is done by this government. You investigate it, and you will come to that conclusion. That is why I have invited him to investigate the faces behind
names here.
And those fronting this deal.
Those words out there. Just
Fatima,
to tarnish
you
the
are one of the
image
spokespersons of the president at the presidency. Can you tell us, Fatima, my dear, can you tell us?
Let's take a quick break.
A tariff of 10.4 to
gentlemen and lady, we're taking a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation.
It's about the taxpayers' money.
To the conversation. And you're welcome back. We're having our own conversation on the background. Now, let's deal with the free senior high school policy. A lot more of comments continue to come in. The latest, former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Ivan Adai-Mensah, is suggesting that the proposal by the Finance Minister be carefully looked at, that is allowing parents to pay for the fees of the wards. That's what he said. He said, don't throw it away. Take a look at that. Now, he also wants the government to implement the double track system only as a temporary measure. Well, government has said in 5 years we'll be able to get some infrastructure in place and then perhaps we can go back. He is suggesting that we shouldn't look at it as a permanent solution. We should go back and sit at the drawing board. That's Professor Ivan Adai-Mensah there. Speaking. Now, Madam Fatima, let me again start a conversation with you. September, the takeoff is on. Some have suggested that we go back and sit down and look at it. Government is listening or not?
It's interesting, especially where in recent conversations, let me say, few days ago, almost everybody is trying to base their suggestions on an opinion by the finance minister. You heard the Deputy Education Minister, Honorable Educhum, said that, you know, we have a government that is open, that is liberal. Even appointees of the government have the benefit of expressing their varied opinions on the subject matter. And therefore, according to him, the finance minister also had the right to express his opinion, but that does not translate into government policy.
Right.
What is government policy in this matter? And even before I go to the government policy issue, you know, they are saying, okay, a minister has expressed an opinion that, okay, he can pay for his kids. Remember that the former president, John Dramani Mahama, in his book, My First Coup d'etat, wrote about the fact that his father, the late Honorable E.A. Mahama, who was a minister at the time, although had his kids like the president at Achimota School, but because of free education, he was moved from Achimota School to the north to go to Ghana School to enjoy free education. And I want to say that for our government, the priority and also the interest of the government and our flagship for which the Ghanaian voters voted for us to come to power, leading our flagship was a free senior high school. So if there is anything or propaganda that the NDC would like to peddle to suggest that, you know what, Ghanaians don't even want the free senior high school and try to draw anything into it, I think that is a non-starter. It's an area that the NDC should not even go into at all. Where do we stand? Government is saying that every Ghanaian child born of a rich family or poor family, no matter whatever the background of the person is, should have the benefit of at least completing senior high school. And we recognize that when we talk about the challenges with regards to access, the biggest among them may not be infrastructure. With infrastructure, we can look for the best practices around the world to look at some virtual systems that will enable us to go around it. But when it comes to the element of cost, it is very important to note that even if you put up a mansion and we have some kids who cannot afford to enter the mansion, we will keep majority of our children in the house and they will not be able to access secondary education. And look at the composition of this free senior high school that government introduced. Those who are day students, their tuition, their books are paid for, they are given free lunch. Those who are boarders, their tuition, their accommodation, including their feeding and books are also paid for. But in all that regards, let's look at the statistics. In 2016, the enrollment was 308,799. In 2017, enrollment was 2017 when we introduced the free senior high school.
Right, that's good.
Yes, enrollment was 361,771. And this year, the projected enrollment is supposed to be 472,730, which, if you consider the leap, from 2017 to 2018, this academic year, we are increasing enrollment by 30%.
We're told about 180,000.
181,000 students.
Right.
And I say that the argument that the NDC has brought forth is not a superior argument anyway, because they are saying that we don't have the funds, government is not ready, we could have taken our time to implement this. And I ask communicators like Sami Jemfi, who have had the benefit of education, tertiary education, that which amongst their siblings should be among the 181,000 students who should sit home because we should not introduce the double track system. The fact that some students did not show up in 2015, 2016 should tell them that the issue of cost
was so huge that we had to lose about 1/3 of our population. Staying in the house, being houseboys and polishing people like Sami Demfi's shoes, walking on the streets, going to do drugs, tramadol, and so on and so forth. And if we say that every government, especially governments in Africa, should take into consideration the fact that there are some best practices out there in the Western world, I'm saying one of the best practices in the Western world is the fact that the country takes responsibility of its younger ones, its children. And the free SHS has come to do exactly that. And by talking about the free SHS, we are not saying that we have in any way ignored any aspect of education, because we are, for this program, we are going to employ 8,000 additional teachers, and we are also increasing the teacher-student contact hours from 1,080 per year to 1,134 per year. And what we are saying is that if the student go in for 81 days, they break for 41 days, they go back for 81 days. So the final semester, both tracks write the exams together and complete at the same time, complete the academic year at the same time. And the semester system is not new in tertiary education. In Ghana, we are running the semester system. If you go to Tema International School, some international schools are running the semester system. It's good for them to run along the lines of the tertiary educations. And I believe it has yielded the kind of positive results that we've been looking for.
Okay, is the issue now is a double track. Now, so 180,000 is where our headache is. Your suggestion is that it is not a matter of government's ability to pay, but the infrastructure. That's what we have to run the double track.
You know, the issue, especially one of the major issues at our second cycle institutions has to do with congestion.
Right.
Even before the enrollment of even before we started the free SHS in September 2017, you know, all the way to April 2017, issues of congestion, issues of outbreaks and all that has been there. But with the kind of intervention, the policy that government has introduced,
the double track,
which suggests, no, before the double, the free senior high school, which suggests to bring every child who qualifies to school, it means we should expect the numbers to go out the roof. So if we are expecting such numbers, there should be some interventions, short term and middle term, medium term, I should say, and we should look at the long term. The bigger picture, the ultimate goal in the long term is that Get Fund is going to embark on a very radical infrastructural program to make sure they are able to expand the infrastructure at the various second cycle institutions. And also this year, government has completed and also finished about 14 of the E-block schools and has also adopted, has adopted 10 private senior high schools. And if you look at those schools, the capacity, what they brought on board is about 13,200 seats. So even if we are holding the money in hand now, you should know that it is virtually impossible to build your way out between now and September, before the students go to school.
So our headache is 180,000 students. Now, the Conference of Heads of Private Senior High Schools have suggested that if government will agree, they can absorb 180,000. They claim they have 250 senior high schools across the country. According to what they told TV3, each school can admit 500 or more. In fact, they claim some can even take 1,000. But their worry is that government isn't listening to them. Why?
I have listened to the,
Sammy, I'll come to you.
Sammy.
Sammy doesn't want you to talk.
I have listened to the Deputy Education Minister, Honorable Edichum, and he said that they've engaged the heads of the private senior high schools on a couple of occasions. But you know, we have categories of private senior high schools in this country. Some of them are charging over $5,000. Some also all the way, maybe even lower than what was paid in the government schools. But we have to note that private schools are in the business of educating, but also to do their business and make profits. And therefore, if you want to move them in line with there should be some instrument backing it. There should be some changes, because you cannot ignore the legal aspects and just go into the fact that between now and September, we should just bring all of them
but
on
that
board
can be
because
done.
They have
If
space.
it has to be documented,
and
it can be done.
Even the fact that there is no uniformity when it comes to cost, how much they charge. If a school is charging 10,000 Ghana cedis, will government be able to afford 10,000 Ghana cedis per child? If a school is charging 5,000 Ghana cedis. So all those things are good suggestions. And I believe when they go to the table, they will be able to find a way to deal with the grades of the private senior high schools.
So government will speak to them?
And also, yes, absolutely. Okay. And there should be also some system to even control. Then it means they have to present themselves to be subjected to even control how much they will even charge per student. All those things would have to be taken into consideration. And why not? Our government is a listening government, and we will go ahead to listen to all that.
They are not happy because when the program started, they didn't get that listening ear when they said that they should be roped into it. But Sami, let me come to you. Now, this is the issue where we are. The suggestion by some is that, well, let us take what the finance minister said on board. She is suggesting that the double track is what we have looked at in other places and which has worked, and so we can make it work here too.
That is not true, right?
It cannot work here.
First of all, let me correct that false information out there, because I'm sure you've heard some educationists from Kenya indicate clearly that the secondary education system in Kenya is not the so-called double-track system which this government is attempting to introduce in Ghana. And so the claim they made that this system is being practiced in Kenya, in Austria, in Korea, has turned out to be false. You understand? Clearly, this is a desperate measure by a desperate government, and I will explain that. But even before I do so, I want to caution that we should elevate this discussion above the usual NDC-MPP partisanship which characterizes everything in this country. This is not an NDC versus an MPP matter. It's an issue about secondary education in this country, and therefore it is about the future of our wards, our siblings, and our children. You understand? So it is within that context that I wish to make my submission. And to be very honest with you, in all honesty, I think that this shift system, which has been dubbed as a double-track system, is a desperate, retrogressive policy which will degrade the quality of secondary education in Ghana and jeopardize the future of secondary school students in this country. Because under this system, SHS students are going to be staying home for an extended vacation period of 6 months.
That's
per annum. That is correct.
It's 80
That's
days.
false.
80 days is
This is the
clear it
policy
and vote.
document.
I mean,
this is the policy
we are
document.
told that they will stay at home for 80 days. That's
No.
It's 41 days. Each semester. So a year is 80.
No. You speak for government, so you need to be spot on in your
false.
analysis. This is the calendar.
Okay.
Let me just allude to it. What they are saying is that for every academic calendar, those students in the track A system are going to be in school for 41 days.
Okay, they stay in 41 days.
41 days. And then they will come on vacation for 90 days. And then they are going to go back.
Where is this document from?
This is the implementation of free SHS program preparation for 2018-2019 academic
They'll
year.
come home
by
for 90
Dr.
days.
Opoku Prempeh, Honorable Minister for Education.
And to you, 90 days
and then
is
that is 3 months. Hold on.
Okay. So
they will first be in school for 41 days, come on vacation for 90 days, and after that go back to school for 40 days. That's the first semester. And then under the second semester, they will be in school for 41 days and break for another 3 months vacation and then go to school for 40 days. And so, it is,
okay,
this is uncontestable.
Fatima, I get you to explain that.
Point.
Okay.
In this document, you indicate that this double track system will have 162 days for both, semesters.
For holidays?
No, 162 days
School.
for academic work. 162 days. And so if you do the mathematics, it comes up to 5 months, 3 weeks, and 4 days. That is even less than 6 months. So it means that for more than 6 months, SHS students are going to stay in the house. What we are saying is that this extended vacation period is going to breed truancy. It is going to affect the ability of students to learn, because they will be denied the conducive environment they have in their schools to study, and it is going to affect their performance and degrade the quality of secondary education in school. This is a point which is made by ISODEC, which is made by Professor Ade, the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, and many other stakeholders in the education
running
sector.
out of time. What is that?
That is because you gave her all the time.
No, I didn't give all the time.
No problem.
No, tell me, is there an alternative?
There are a lot of alternatives.
From what we have, 180 more.
There are a lot of
more
alternatives.
Well,
the reason why they are putting us in this mess is because they don't listen. It is because they think they know it all.
Okay.
And that is why they brand everybody who criticizes this policy as a naysayer and as somebody who doesn't support anything good. That is why we are here today. You understand? You yourself alluded to the proposal which has been put forth by the private senior high schools. They say we have 250 senior high schools.
Yeah, that's what they claim.
Yes, and these are not the private senior high schools for the affluent. These are private senior high schools who charge an average of 1,500, cedis per year. And they are saying that we have 10,000 teachers, so you need not employ 8,000 teachers under this so-called double-track system. They are saying that we have spaces to accommodate more than 186,000. All you need to do is to engage these institutions and come out with modalities for them to absorb the excess 181,000. The approach you are adopting is a lazy approach, which number one will collapse the private schools, because now most of these private schools are vacant. Some of them have shut down. Others have converted into poultry farm businesses and so on. Ghana is losing taxes, the taxes that would have gotten from this school and all that. And so it behoves on a government which touts itself as a government which believes in the private sector, to engage these private schools for them to absorb the 181,000. Again, the surest solution to this problem.
That is one alternative.
Yes, because this problem basically is an infrastructure problem. And the surest solution to this problem lies in the expansion of infrastructure in all senior high schools in this country. Right, let me tell you this. This is not the first time that the enrollment has increased at the senior high school level. In the 2010-2011 academic year, enrollment increased by a whooping 182,000, which is far more than the 181,000 that they are grappling with. Because you remember that President Kufuor increased the duration of SHS to 4 years. And so when we came, there was a backlog. Professor Mills did not introduce a double track system or a shift system to address that. What we did was that we embarked on a massive infrastructural drive to fill the infrastructural deficit, which was currently at the senior the senior high school level. And if you had done that, because you cannot tell me that you didn't know that the implementation of the free SHS policy was going to lead to an increase in enrollment.
But
what have you done?
Sami, let me put this question to you.
Infrastructure.
Between now and September, when this thing starts, government certainly can't put up these,
before I come to that question, you see, government says that it needs 1.3 billion Ghana cedis to do the infrastructural deficits. This is
but even if the money is there between now and September,
they cannot do it. But I want to address that issue because I think that government does not even need 1.3 billion Ghana cedis to address this problem. If you look at the breakdown, the cost breakdown, they are projecting to spend 450 Ghana cedis on one desk. One desk. The mono decks that students use in school. 450 Ghana cedis. Why? When we all know that if I give Fatima here 200 Ghana cedis to go to Malata Market, she can get me a desk. They are constructing 6 unit classroom blocks at a whopping 650 Ghana cedis. When they said that constructing a 6 unit classroom block at 500,000 Ghana cedis was corruption, was inflated, and so on. Not too long ago when they were in opposition. Today they are projecting to spend 650,000 Ghana cedis on every 6 unit classroom block they build. And so if you look at even the breakdown of the so-called 1.3 billion Ghana cedis, which government says it needs to meet this infrastructural deficit, you will see that it is inflated. Now, let's even admit that indeed they need 1.3 billion, right?
Wrap up.
Let's even admit that. Is this government telling us in all honesty that they cannot marshal the resources? They cannot raise 1.3 billion.
They're talking about time.
They chamber. First of all, they are saying they can't raise it. You see, time is not an excuse because when they began the implementation of this policy 1 year ago, they knew that the enrollment figures would go up. The point I am making here is that this government cannot tell the people of this country that they cannot mobilize 1.3 billion because we're in this country not too long ago when the Chamber for Bulk Oil Distributors told us that government lost the sum of 1.8 billion Ghana cedis through fuel fraud alone for 2017. The Auditor General has told us in his 2017 Auditor General report, that Ghana lost 892 million Ghana cedis through financial irregularities alone. How much are they projecting to spend on that needless referendum for the creation of new regions? 900 million. And you tell us that you don't have 1.3 billion. In conclusion, I will just conclude. Let me conclude because you gave me a lot of time.
5 seconds.
I'll conclude. 5
seconds.
I'm
counting.
I will do that. You see, this problem is self-inflicted.
3.
Our colleagues in the MPP must listen to the good counsel being offered on this.
Right.
This Yentobia mentality, this know-all attitude.
I am grateful. Sammy, you have that. Let me give Madam Fatima
because this is about the future of our children.
Okay. Okay.
I'm surprised
this is about the future of our children.
has turned himself into a political quantity surveyor. It is interesting. At least for our government,
in opposition
we take criticism from
classroom
even if it's coming from a minister or what
you are not
have
saying that
but
you are going to construct a classroom block.
Give a time. Sammy, please allow.
In recent past, if you criticize the government, you get all names, including Baluni, and you get all names, Yentobia, and so on.
But even before that, let's see what the issue. The issue of the 90 days holidays.
6 months is the annual. This is the calendar.
What was
Sammy,
the
please
old
allow her.
calendar?
Yeah.
I am surprised that Sammy is talking about 160 and he couldn't talk about the old calendar. How many days have been reduced? And remember,
Sammy, hold on.
How many days have been reduced? And remember,
reduced
those
the academic calendar from 9 months.
Sammy,
no,
5 months.
That is false. That is false.
Okay.
That is false. That is absolutely false.
So it is not 90 days vacation.
No, it's not 90 days.
We'll find out.
You should look at
more
this.
than 6 months vacation
for 1 year.
For 1 year.
You know what?
Oh my goodness.
You know
no
what?
Problem.
Right.
You make your point.
This document. Sami is looking at the document as if it's a long sheet. This cycle,
I am shocked that you don't even know your own position on this.
Please, you have no idea the number of
I'm grateful.
That this new system will have a total of...
Allow her to wrap up and then we'll go. I've hit the top of the hour.
You don't understand your own
policy.
has
peddled a lot of falsehood. I have seen this document on so many occasions to the extent that, in fact, I can even see the document in my dream. But what I'm saying is that for all that Sami has said, whose sibling should be left in the house?
Educate me. How many days will this new system have?
And we are saying that.
Right. I want you to answer that question.
See,
she's saying I'm lying.
So let her answer and then we'll go.
So how many days are they going to spend?
I'm telling you that 281 days. Don't separate this one from this one.
Yes.
Because
so how many days will they spend on vacation?
To come back with this batch to write their final semester
the question is
exams
simple.
together.
How many days will they spend on vacation under this new system?
They will go for 81, then break for 41, then go for what do you call it? 81, and break for another
41. So it's 41
and I am saying
add that together and see whether you get 12 months.
Okay.
What Sami is saying,
what
Sami is saying, honestly, I don't know why he has turned himself into a political quantity surveyor and he's throwing some words about which are absolutely not
gentlemen
true.
and lady, I'm grateful.
But we are not leaving any child
I don't know why
the government is not leaving any child
you are being no problem. You see, I just wanted to make this concluding remark.
Sammy, I'm doing what? Tell
everything. I mean, you're trying to apply some affirmative action to this program. So I understand your allocation of time. But the point, the point I made is incontestable.
Gentlemen and
the
ladies,
new
I am
system
grateful.
will have a total of 160 days. Another spokesperson for
Deputy Communications Director at the Presidency, Madam Fatima Abubakar, was my other guest. I am grateful for your time with us. Continue the conversation. Stay with us. Sports is up next, right here.
Well, so one of Ghana's biggest telcos has been celebrating 10 years anniversary, and that's Vodafone, and they have so much for us, and they have been rewarding their great customers with many promos. And I have Louis Menu, he's the mass segment manager from Vodafone Ghana, here to tell us exactly what Vodafone has been up to for the past 10 years and what to expect. Good morning, Louis.
Good morning.
So tell me, what is new on Vodafone? as you're celebrating your 10 years?
Yeah, Vodafone, we came in basically like around 2008. We came in an industry. The industry has never been the same. We've brought a lot of innovation. We've brought a lot of new products. So remember, we came up with the Kikime. We have done One Ghana for your pockets. We've done Vodafone X, which is really exciting and amazing. What we've done is on the 10th of this month, we're actually 10 years in Ghana. The innovation is great. What we've brought out is so amazing. So we decided to come up with an amazing offer for our customers.
So this celebration has been ongoing for a while.
Yeah.
How is it coming along? What things have you put in place
So,
and what have you done?
during this period, for the past 2 weeks, we've held an anniversary logo competition where a young medical student from KNUST was rewarded for, he actually emerged as the winner of the logo competition. 2 weeks ago as well, we had an event at the Marriott Hotel where we had the opportunity to have the Vice President of Ghana, Dr. Bawumia, and the former President of Ghana, John Agyekum Kufuor, graced the occasion for us. That's the period we actually unveiled our anniversary logo, and basically we actually talked about how the future is going to be and what we've done in the past, just as the products I did mention about. So it's been really well, it's been amazing. We've seen a lot of people subscribe to the promo, and today we're here to talk about it again.
So tell us about your anniversary offer, which is shaking the industry, for which everyone wants to know about. 10, it's got 10 in there. What is it about?
So we've come up with a new tariff. It's the lowest tariff in the market. It's the most affordable tariff we have now. All we are saying to our customers is join this new tariff. Not just that you enjoy browsing, texting, and also calling people at a lower rate. Not just that. What we are saying is you can actually pass on your scratch card to 2 more people, and immediately you do that. Immediately you load your scratch card, you get 10 times the value of the scratch card that you actually load. So if you load a 2 Ghana Cedi card, you get 20 Ghana Cedi, and 2 more people can actually enjoy the same 10 times bonus. Just aside that, you know, some weeks back we had our CEO come here to announce the 10th anniversary, and basically the promo was supposed to be just 1 month. What we have as an exciting news is we've actually extended the promo to another month. So instead of it ending on the 10th of August, we've moved it to the 10th of September, and that this is something really good for our customers.
I'm sure customers are still praying you extend it to take even the whole year. We'll see how that goes. But how does one join this offer?
This is quite very simple. What we're telling our customers is just pick up your Vodafone SIM, dial 135, you will get the voice prompt, and basically you'll be on the offer. If you're on any bundle and you want to move, basically you dial *135#, you'll get the USSD notification, and then you can choose where you want to be. Not just that, when you get a scratch card and you're passing it on, you can also load the scratch card by dialing *135* the PIN that is on the scratch card, and you can actually load your 10 times bonus on the offer.
Okay, so back to where you said we can share with other Vodafone customers. Does that person also have to be on the offer?
You don't need to be on the offer.
Okay.
You don't need to be on the offer. So if I am on the offer and I decide to share my scratch card with you, you don't need to be on the offer. You also stand the chance to enjoy the 10 times bonus that I enjoy when I load my scratch card. And this is not just on scratch cards. We have the same thing done on Vodafone Cash. We have that also on our electronic vouchers, electronic top-ups as well, and it's really working. If you load Vodafone Cash, you'll be given a PIN. You can share the PIN with 2 more people to enjoy the same offer.
Very well. So how are people using this offer to better their lives, or how is it changing people's lives?
This is really, that's a very good question. We've had series of calls in our call center. We've got people calling. One call that really touches me is a young, I wouldn't say young, possibly he's actually giving birth. A farmer in Ashanti Bekwai, who actually called our call center and was very happy about the tariff. He can actually call his friends and call his other colleagues at a very affordable rate. And for once, he can actually also share his scratch card with his wife and his teenage daughter, which is really good. When we heard it, we were really touched. One of the reasons we also decided to extend for these people to have to touch their life and change their life in the process. Yeah.
So concerning this offer, because I'm sure many people are excited about it, but is it automatic renewals, or do you have the chance to choose if you want to continue for maybe lack of funds, whatever the issues may be?
This offer, you don't actually need to pay anything. Okay. It's a flat tariff. So you dial 135, you're on the offer. We don't take anything from you. All you do is make calls at a very affordable rate, and you'll be happy. Everyone will be happy. Yeah.
Very well. So what should we expect from Vodafone in the months to come?
What we are actually doing, we are coming up with more exciting offers, greater stuff about to come. What we actually tell our customers is just pick up the new, pick up our scratch cards, pick up, if you don't have a Vodafone SIM, grab a Vodafone SIM, buy a scratch card, pass it on to 2 more people. You have, we've extended the promo, so you have a month more to do more on Vodafone. Some few rules apply. The bonus that's being given to you, you can actually use it till the next day by 12 midnight. We're giving you a lot, so we're giving you that much time to also talk to your friends, and then also browse, surf on the internet, and be happy. Yeah.
So you get to do all this with just the amount you've topped up, which is being, 10 times
10 times,
more.
yeah. That's really good. Even on Vodafone Cash, and even on our electronic top-ups. What people do on the street, where normally you go, you want to buy Vodafone credits, you give money to someone, the person sends it to you. Immediately, you get your PIN for your 10 times bonus, you get your 10 times bonus as well, and then you can send that.
But you just mentioned something interesting. So concerning those who buy the credits electronically, say maybe through their banks, they wouldn't be allowed to pass on to two people, but they'll get the 10 times.
Through the banks, no. Okay. Because the banks, even though they are integrated with us, do not fall within our promo criteria. But the guys that sells on the streets, that sells for us, the retailers, some of the freelancers that sells credit to customers, you would actually get your 10 times bonus from these guys.
Very well. Louis, just share with me, in your years of working with Vodafone, and now that you're celebrating 10 years, what is the highlight of being with the Vodafone family?
The Vodafone family is amazing. We are exceptional. The work environment is great. We are very innovative. As you can see, we've come up with most very innovative offers. This offer is great. We came out with a Kikime, which was amazing. Vodafone X is a movement that people are actually on. They are enjoying it. You actually talked about Red earlier on. Red bundles are super. We've got Supreme bundles that are mainly used in the north and some parts in the coastal areas, and this is really amazing offers that we are giving our customers. What we're actually saying this month is enjoy our anniversary offer and keep using Vodafone.
Very well. Louis Menu, Mass Segment Manager, says enjoy and keep using their offer. Vodafone is 10 years and they have so much packaged for you. They are loving customers, so make sure you join them. But we have Patapa with Aquaba. We went out to talk to the Nigerian High Commissioner amidst all the brouhaha concerning the retail trading in Ghana. We had some questions to ask him, and he also did give us some answers. We are speaking to Ambassador Olufemi Akimboye. Let's watch this.
Nigeria, one of Africa's largest markets, did not sign on to the African Continental Free Trade Area, but President Buhari has said that Nigeria is looking to sign on soon. Now, how confident should we be that this time it would happen?
Nigeria and South Africa happens to be the 2 largest economy in Africa, and Nigeria happens to be the 26th largest economy in the world. In March, when the African Continental Free Trade was supposed to sign and Nigerian decline, it has to do with domestic issues in the country. For you to sign an international treaty in the Nigerian system, you need to consult with the National Assembly. And by the National Assembly, we're talking in terms of the upper house, which is the Senate, the lower house, which is the House of Rep. So what President Muhammadu Buhari has done was to have a wider consultations, because the Manufacturer Association of Nigerian Man were not too comfortable at that particular time. The Nigerian Labour Congress really wanted to be consulted before a final decision was taken. But as at now, the consultation has been done, both with the MAN, the Manufacturer Association of Nigeria, the Nigerian Economic Group, the Nigerian Labour Group, the National Assembly, and the issue has been taken up to the Nigerian public, and it has decided now that the issue should be looked into positively. And so we hope very, very soon, as announced by the government, that the Nigerian government will sign. The African Continental Free Trade has a lot of advantages. It's going to boost the economy of African country. It's going to bring unity and prosperity into Africa. In short, it has a lot of enormous advantage in terms of turning around the economy. But no country wants to sign an agreement without looking at your own local industry in terms of protections. You want to talk in terms of the economy remedies that are going to be involved. You want to be sure that the goods and services that are going to be moved across are safe and secured. I think those are the delayed, but very, very, very soon, the government and the President Muhammad Buhari will actually endorse that agreement.
Would you agree that there's some form of tension in Nigeria's current political space in view of the alliance that has been formed to defeat President Buhari in the upcoming elections?
Forming coalitions, forming opposition is part of the political democracy. You cannot stop anybody from forming up a group, and the essence of it is maybe to take power. I think it's a sign of a good things to come when you see people in opposition and they have not been freely allowed to form coalitions and say, yes, we're coming together to take power from you. I think the final verdict belongs to the voters. The voters will decide. They will look at the current economic policy of the government. They will look at what the government has been able to do in the last 3 years. They will look at the challenges in terms of corruption, how much money they have been able to gather. They will look at in terms of economy. In the last 3-4 years, the foreign reserve of Nigeria was just about 15-20 billion. As I'm talking to you today, the government has been able to get about 50 billion US$ foreign reserve, which is the highest in Africa. And the government stands on 3 principles. They talk in terms of economic recovery, which is wonderful. They talk in terms of fighting corruptions. And they have recovered trillions of nairas, millions of dollars, millions of pound sterling, and actually been able to secure judgment on some of the past corrupt leaders. Those are issues that will come in February 2019. The Nigerians will decide.
Now, there are also plans to form a single currency, but in our interaction with some Nigerians, they've expressed comfortability with how the Naira is performing. So how sure should we be that Nigeria is going to hop onto the single currency goal as well?
The single currency in terms of what we call eco-currency has been on for some time. Luckily, in the year 2000, 2001, I attended the single currency meeting here in Accra. And I was lucky to be in the last meeting at the Accra International Conference Center again this year in March. Issues that concern economic community of West African is solely dependent on 2 economies, Nigeria and Ghana, which happens to be the largest 2 economies in West Africa. But the European community have gone through this. There are some microeconomic indices that needs to be in place before you can talk in terms of ECO, which is the single currency issues. And those issues are the ones that the government have been connecting, making sure that they are in place. You need to be able to achieve some indices before you can go into it. The Economic Community of West African have set up a date of 2020 to be able to achieve this. The last meeting was very, very, very productive. Almost all the government in there, including Nigeria, believe that issue being able to endorse it by 2020. But what Nigeria keep on saying is this: for you to go into this, make sure that you put in all the economic parameters and everybody is on the same page. People will keep on talking. The economy of Nigeria, as of today, has a foreign reserve of 50 billion. But if you combine the economy of the whole West African states, the GDP, you're talking in terms of about 100 billion US$. Every members of ECOWAS believe that having a single economic currency, first and foremost, will reduce problem in terms of trade. We actually increase trade among the West African countries, 1. transactions will be easier. You will not be talking from cedis to naira, naira to seven. Wonderful. In terms of movement of goods, it becomes easier because you are talking in terms of a single currency. In terms of unity and prosperity of the ECOWAS submission is very wonderful. But notwithstanding all these things, you need to look at your local economy and see what is it going to benefit you. Regional, international regions, economic group will be very happy because you are not dealing with a single economic group issues. So I think those are the issues that are on the board. With regards to Nigerians, private Nigerians discussing in terms of not being comfortable, of course they are entitled to their opinion. But I think the government is carrying everybody along to let them see the positive aspect of having a single economy, a single currency in ECOWAS, which of course will be to our advantage, which will boost our economy, which will bring unity among ourselves. And I think sooner than later, the deadline, according to President Akufo-Addo, is everybody should work towards 2020. Let's see what will happen in the next few 2-3 minutes, and I think we'll be able to achieve something.
There are reports of some Nigerian traders who have taken over Ghanaian markets, and the Trade Ministry has spoken about taking measures to ensure that this is stopped.